Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 27th of May 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a quick look at the charts. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. There's always a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE100. Now, the FTSE is closed today. It's a bank holiday in UK. Also, the US is closed. So, I thought that this could be a good opportunity to calmly look at this index here. So, basically, looking at this, last week I talked about the FTSE, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this level right here at 7,280, which got broken nicely, and the next target for me was around the 7,218.20 zone, approximately there, which, as you can see, held perfectly. And and you can shift this arrow a little bit here to the side here. So basically we did have this nice move. It got held here near the 7,220, from which it rebounded and pushed higher, but it failed to even close a 4-hour candle above the 7,280 zone. So this previous support zone now is acting as a good resistance. So in other words, for now we're going to remain calm here. We're going to wait for a confirmation breakthrough one of our key support and resistance levels. So basically, in terms of the downside, as you probably understood now, we need to see a nice good drop back below the 7,220 before we could consider lower areas. This would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then target this other key, very important area of support near the 7,150 zone. As you can see, this is how well it played out as support zone previously. So it held the price from dropping on the 25th of March and also on the 13th of May. Now, if we do see a move towards this area, we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do, if it wants to actually break it. If it does break it, then yep, that's wonderful. Further decline, well, wonderful for the bears, and further declines could be possible, but we'll examine those if we see a push towards the 7,150 level. But before, like I said, before we can consider that, we need to see that nice good break below the 7,220. In terms of the upside, yes, I mean, if we need to see a clear move back above the 7,280, ideally at least a 4-hour candle close above that level. But still, for us, let's say this was the previous level here, the 7,355. Now, I talked about this one previously, and as you can see, we did have some closes here above that, but kind of never managed to continue pushing further up here. So in a way, what we're going to do here is we're going to lift this a little bit here and target the 7,370 zone, just for that better confirmation of the upside. And if we do see a nice good break and a close above this, then this could increase the chances for this index to travel further up here. Ideally, maybe we would like to target this area here near the 7,450, and we'll take it from there. If it wants to continue pushing higher, that's great. We could then target the April highs near the 7,530. Or even above that. But again, for now, guys, that's what we're going to be looking at. Let me just quickly highlight that for our future reference. So basically, in terms of the upside, that's what we're going to be looking out for. A nice good pop above the 7,370. That's what we're looking for in order to consider higher levels. In terms of the downside, a drop below the 7,220. We're not going to go, like I said, like I mentioned previously, we're not going to go too hard on it, on this index. We'll just target the 7,150 first, but if that fails, now this is where it could turn out to be ugly for FTSE 100, and we could see deeper moves to the downside here. So for now, that's the game plan. Let's see how it's going to play out, and be very careful. And just to remind you again, this is closed today. Bitcoin. Very interesting move again. It seems that there's a pattern that the cryptos tend to move during weekends. So basically, as you can see on the well, yesterday we've got our break here. Now, I was talking about this level previously when I was reviewing Bitcoin, and as you can see the arrow, this now we need to shift it a little bit here. So basically, we did get our nice pop here above the 8,200 level. It stayed above it, traveled higher, and we just had a perfect touch here of the 8,960 level. So as you can see, it managed to hit that and then reversed slightly to the downside. Now, what we could see here is something like this. So also, we may see this one traveling a little bit down to the downside, maybe correcting a little bit, and testing the 8,500 level. Now, just to show you what that level was here in the past, and that's quite an important level, the 8,500, which is right here, acted as a very good area of resistance previously back here on around the July time last year. Now this time it could take the role of a key support. Of course, if it holds, then that's great. This is where more bulls could start jumping in and potentially driving this one back up here towards the 8,900, 960. Ideally, we're going to be aiming for this 8,960, but for those who like to let's say to take it cautiously and very carefully, then what you could do is just wait for a break above the 8,960. This would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then aim for higher levels. Now I do have the psychological 10,000 level, so to be honest, it would be great to see Bitcoin traveling again towards that level. But if we jump back into the daily chart here, basically we're going to try to find a level here between this 8,960 and the 10,000 level. So in a way, what you could monitor here is this little target, and let me just quickly grab one of these lines. I'm going to recycle one of these lines, and there we go. That's what we could be targeting. The high, basically the high of the 7th of March, and oops, sorry, that's the wrong level here, guys. I do apologize, but went a little bit too far. Now that's a bit, there we go, that's the one, that's what I'm talking about. So this is what we're looking for, the high of the 9th of May, and that would be approximately around the 9,375 level. So good potential target. Keep your eyes on this one. This is where the price kind of got held, and didn't allow for Bitcoin to move further up. That's why keep your eyes on this little obstacle. This could play out, but again, like I said, be very careful. Ideally, like I said, we would like to see a push above the 8,960 level in order to just kind of get that better confirmation, but do not exclude this potential scenario here where we could revisit the 8,500 level, and then if it fails to drop below it, then yep, we could see the bull jumping in here on this one and pushing this one higher. In terms of the downside, well, a drop back below this 8,200 level could potentially maybe spook the bulls for a little bit here. The only thing is that probably for better confirmation, you could in a way keep your eyes on this little tentative upside support line as well, just for that better kind of just for the peace of mind, let's put it that way. So if we see a drop below the 8,200, yep, we could see this one falling further down. We may see a test of the upside support line. Maybe we may see the price stalling around here, but if it continues sliding, then yep, we could then consider the lows as we saw here last week, so near the 7,450, or even actually going further down towards the this little level right here. Let me just quickly put this one on the chart. This little low of the 17th of May, which is around the psychological 7,000 level. So very important area here. Keep your eyes on this one. But again, like I said, we will consider the downside only if we see a drop below this little, initially, of course, below this 8,200 level, and then below this upside support line. So keep your eyes on this one. Now, GBPUSD, very interesting pair. So it's trying to push higher last week, and I was telling you guys on Friday about this one, and basically what I was saying, that if we see a nice close here of the daily candle in positive territory, or even ideally above this 1.2685 level, now this would increase the pair's chances for a further push higher. Potentially we will target this downside resistance line, and let me just jump back into the 4-hour chart on this one here. So we will target this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 3rd of May. This is a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless it will be interesting to see if actually the pair manages to reach that. Now, I'm not saying that we're gonna like turn positive from here and just continue aiming higher. No, still, in order kind of to get comfortable with the upside, we would like to see ideally a nice good close, at least of the 4-hour candle above this downside resistance line, and then we will aim for levels like the 1.29 around here, which also could coincide with the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. Now, that's in terms of the upside. In terms of the downside, if this suddenly drops back below the 1.2685 zone, well, I mean, we could target slightly lower areas. And but to be honest, what I should probably adjust this a little bit here, because it was kind of violated here a little bit. So in a way, you kind of ignored this level. Now, keep your eyes on this little area of potential support near the 1.2665. Now, just for that, maybe better confirmation where you could kind of push the upside away if we see a drop below the 1.2665. That said, for a better confirmation, what we would like to see here is a drop below this low here around the 1.2615 zone, something like that, approximately there. And this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then target the 1.2530 zone. So for now, of course, it is trying to push higher. It is going to be very interesting to see if it actually manages to test this downside resistance line. If it does, then it'll be even more interesting to see if it actually breaks that and stays above it. If it doesn't, then we could see maybe another small leg of selling here. But again, for us to, let's say, get comfortable with the downside again, we would like to see a drop below these lows of last week near the 1.2615 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Jumping into NZDUSD. Now, this is very an attractive pair, let's put it that way. So finally we got a break here above this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 26th of March, and it's now trying to push higher. Now, again, in terms of the, sorry, I just forgot to mention that with the GBPUSD, yes, we could see this one traveling a little bit higher. The only thing is that don't forget that the pound is still kind of on the weaker side, as it is still vulnerable to any kind of Brexit related headline. So that's why for now, that's why we're going to be very careful with the upside here on the GBPUSD. But NZDUSD here is showing some good results. Of course, it's now just slightly above this key area of resistance that I was talking about last week in my one of my videos, and the 0.6545 level, that's what we were talking about. That's what I was talking about, and we got our nice break and a close above that, and you can see that now it seems to be willing to travel higher. Certainly will be very interesting. We'll keep it very short and simple here. First, we're going to target this little area around the R2, today's R2, near the 0.6580. But if that fails to withhold, we do have our 200 EMA that could get tested, and it'll be very interesting to see if actually what it does around there. But for now, of course, we are somewhat more bullish than bearish. We are targeting first the 0.6580 zone, and we may see maybe a small correction from there. If it of course struggles to overcome this this barrier, we may see a small correction, a drop lower, and but then we'll be very careful. As long as it kind of remains above this downside resistance line, this we will see this as somewhat more positive. But if this suddenly drops back below this downside resistance line and drops below this key the lows of last week near the 0.6480, now this is where it could turn out to be ugly for NZDUSD, and we could see a further slide towards the 0.6420. So that's why, guys, for now we'll be very cautious with the downside, but of course we'll not exclude it. But again, for better confirmation, we would like to see a drop below the last week's lows before we get comfortable with further declines. USDCAD, very quickly. Now, I also talked about this one last week, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this this range that the pair is kind of stuck in here. And that range is roughly between the 1.3370 on the downside and the 1.35 level on the upside. So and also what I was talking about this little level here around the 1.3450. So we managed to get our break here. It remained below, and you can see that it did try to recover slightly but failed. So and you can see the arrow is now needs to shift a little bit. Our arrow still, for us now, this little picture kind of is slightly more bearish. I do understand the fact that it's still trading above its 200 EMA, but if it travels below this, then we may see a revisit of the 1.3390, or even actually going all the way here towards the 1.3370. Now, I'm not going to drag it further down for now. We're just going to see if it actually manages to reach that level. For, like I said, for now we're somewhat more bearish, but ideally I like to see a nice good drop below this 200 EMA, and yep, then we'll consider, like I said, these areas here around the 1.3390 or the 1.3370. In terms of the upside, again, with the upside, we're not going to go crazy here. A nice good push back above the 1.3450 would place this one also above its today's pivot, so this could be seen as a nice positive sign here, but then again, it would be the upside could be short-lived due to this range, of course, where if we see again, like if we see a push above the 1.3450, this could potentially travel towards 1.3480, but like I said, the target still for us is this 1.35, which is the upper side of this little range, and then if we see a hit here, then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do. If it wants to at least close the 4-hour candle above it, then yep, further acceleration to the upside could be possible. But again, for now, that's a bit too long of a shot. That's why for now, in terms of the upside, we will consider here, in terms of the short-term upside idea, we need to see that nice good break above the 1.3450 before getting comfortable with higher levels. In terms of the downside, yep, a drop below the 200 EMA could potentially lead this one towards the levels that I've talked about previously. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. And if you want to join me later on at my traders tea time, and as always, that's 13:15 GMT time. For now, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.